What if the person who would betray you was sitting right next to you at dinner? What if you knew the betrayal was coming and still chose to show love? And what if one of the most painful moments in history was already known by Jesus before it even happened? In the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verses 18 to 30, we enter one of the most intense and emotional scenes in the life of Jesus. The setting is the upper room during the final meal Jesus shares with his disciples before his arrest and crucifixion. Just moments earlier, Jesus had washed their feet, demonstrating humility and servant leadership. The disciples were still trying to process the meaning of that powerful act. But now the atmosphere in the room shifts. Jesus begins speaking words that carry a deeper, heavier meaning. He tells the disciples that not all of them truly belong to him. This statement must have felt confusing and unsettling. The 12 men sitting around that table had followed Jesus for years. They had traveled together, witnessed miracles together, and listened to his teachings day after day. They were the closest group of followers Jesus had. Yet Jesus says something unexpected. "I am not referring to all of you. I know those I have chosen." Then he explains that the scripture must be fulfilled. "He who shared my bread has lifted up his heel against me." This reference echoes a line from Psalm 41, a passage describing betrayal by a trusted friend. By quoting this scripture, Jesus reveals that what is about to happen is not a surprise in God's plan. Even betrayal had already been foretold in the sacred writings. Jesus continues by telling the disciples that he is revealing this before it happens, so that when it does happen, they will believe that he truly is who he claims to be. This moment shows something profound about Jesus. He is not a victim of unexpected circumstances. He understands exactly what is unfolding. Every step leading toward the cross is part of a greater purpose. Yet knowing the future does not remove the pain of the moment. Imagine sitting at a table with close friends, knowing that one of them will soon betray you. The tension in the room must have been overwhelming. Then Jesus makes the statement even more direct. He says, "Very truly, I tell you, whoever accepts anyone I send accepts me, and whoever accepts me accepts the one who sent me." These words remind the disciples that their mission will continue beyond this night. They will become messengers sent into the world. Their faithfulness will reflect their relationship with Jesus and with God the Father. But the conversation suddenly becomes even more personal. John describes that after saying these things, Jesus became deeply troubled in spirit. This detail reveals the emotional weight of the moment. Jesus was not detached or unaffected by what was about to happen. He felt the sorrow and pain of betrayal. Then he announces it clearly. "Very truly, I tell you, one of you is going to betray me." The room falls into confusion. The disciples look at one another, unsure of whom he means. Each of them begins to wonder if it could somehow be them. Their confidence is shaken. Among them sits the disciple whom Jesus loved, traditionally understood to be John. He is reclining close to Jesus at the table. Peter, always eager to know what is happening, signals to him to ask Jesus who he is talking about. So the beloved disciple leans closer to Jesus and quietly asks, "Lord, who is it?" Jesus answers in a subtle way. He says that it is the one to whom he will give a piece of bread after dipping it into the dish. In that culture, sharing bread from the same dish was an act of friendship and closeness. It symbolized fellowship at the table. Then Jesus dips the bread and gives it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. Imagine the moment. The disciples are watching. Judas is sitting among them like everyone else. Outwardly, nothing separates him from the others. Yet Jesus knows exactly what is hidden in his heart. John then writes a chilling sentence. "As soon as Judas took the bread, Satan entered into him." This does not mean Judas was simply forced into betrayal without choice. Earlier passages reveal that Judas had already allowed greed and dishonesty to grow in his heart. He had been stealing from the money bag the disciples shared. His heart had slowly moved away from the truth. By this moment, his decision had hardened. Jesus looks at him and says, "What you are about to do quickly." The other disciples, however, do not understand what is happening. Some assume that Jesus is telling Judas, who kept the money bag, to buy supplies for the upcoming festival or to give something to the poor. This misunderstanding highlights something remarkable. The disciples had not suspected Judas. For years he had lived among them, sharing their experiences, hearing the same teachings, and witnessing the same miracles. Outwardly he looked like one of them, but inside, something very different had been growing. Then Judas takes the piece of bread and leaves. John adds a simple but powerful sentence, "And it was night." On the surface, this describes the time of day. But in the Gospel of John, night often symbolizes spiritual darkness. Judas is stepping out of the light of Jesus' presence and into the darkness of betrayal. This moment marks the beginning of the final chain of events that will lead to Jesus' arrest and crucifixion. Yet even in this painful scene, several important truths emerge. First, Jesus knew the betrayal was coming. Nothing that happened that night caught him by surprise. He understood the hearts of the people around him and the events that would unfold. His path to the cross was not an accident, but part of God's plan for redemption. Second, Jesus continued to show love even to the one who would betray him. He washed Judas's feet earlier that evening, along with the other disciples. He shared the meal with him. He even handed him the bread from the dish. These actions show that Jesus did not treat Judas with hatred or anger. Instead, he treated him with the same grace offered to everyone else. This reveals the extraordinary depth of Christ's love. Third, the story reminds us that outward appearances can be misleading. Judas was counted among the disciples. He walked with Jesus, listened to his teachings, and witnessed miracles. Yet his heart slowly drifted towards selfishness and darkness. Faith is not only about being near spiritual things or religious activities. It is about the condition of the heart. A person can be surrounded by truth, but still choose another path. Fourth, this moment shows the spiritual battle that exists beneath the surface of human choices. The Bible describes how evil influences can take hold when people open the door through repeated wrong decisions. Judas allowed greed and dishonesty to shape his character until his actions led to betrayal. But this passage also highlights the contrast between darkness and light. Judas leaves the room and walks into the night. Meanwhile, the remaining disciples stay with Jesus, continuing to learn from him and follow his path. Every person faces moments where choices must be made between truth and deception, loyalty and betrayal, light and darkness. The story of Judas is tragic, not simply because of the betrayal itself, but because he had been given so many opportunities to choose differently. He heard the teachings about love, forgiveness, humility, and truth directly from Jesus. Yet something within him kept turning away. The warning in this passage is not meant to make people feel hopeless, but to encourage self-reflection. It asks an important question. What is happening inside our hearts? Are we moving closer to the light of Christ, or slowly drifting away from it? The disciples in that room did not fully understand the meaning of the moment yet. But after the resurrection, they would remember what Jesus said and realize that everything had unfolded exactly as he had foretold. The betrayal did not defeat God's plan. Instead, it became part of the larger story of redemption. Through the cross, the greatest act of betrayal in human history would ultimately lead to the greatest act of love and salvation. Jesus would give his life for the world, offering forgiveness even to those who rejected him. The scene in the upper room reminds us that the path of Jesus includes both deep love and deep sorrow. He understood human weakness, yet he continued to extend grace. Even when betrayal sat at the table, Jesus chose the path of truth and love, and the message of that night still speaks today. Loyalty matters. The condition of the heart matters. The choices we make in quiet moments shape the direction of our lives. The story invites us to examine our own lives and ask whether we are walking toward the light or stepping into darkness. It reminds us that Jesus sees beyond appearances and understands the true motives of the heart. But it also reminds us that his love reaches even into the most difficult and painful moments of human history. The betrayal in the upper room was not the end of the story. The cross was coming, and beyond the cross, the resurrection. Thank you for watching this video. If this message helped you understand the deeper meaning of this powerful moment in the Gospel of John, please like the video, follow the Holy Path Insights channel, and share this message with others who want to explore the truth of the Bible. Your support helps spread these important stories and lessons to more people around the world.